Hello and welcome to the NSRA Supernats at Nebworth, where the weather is glorious, making up for Billing, where the weather was awful. Tonight we'll bring you some of the cars here and some very special guests from America, and of course our project car. So Pete, how long did this one take you to build?
This particular car took me 2 weeks.
Just 2 weeks?
Yeah.
That's incredible, but then it really isn't very big, is it?
No, it's not.
Quite small.
Yeah.
This is your actual top rod.
Yeah, this is a top rod.
So much about.
Yeah, this is a 34 top rod.
You're the first man to be doing these in the country?
In this country, yeah. Originally, I bought the original one in 12 years ago from America, and it all started from then.
And at that time, one of your daughters, I think, was what? 5?
Yeah, she was 5 years old, and originally it was for her.
Why did nobody get me one of these when I was 5?
Well, I wasn't building them.
I wish you had been.
Well, I do now.
What possessed you to do it, to bring one in the first place?
Originally I saw them in a magazine in America. I thought, I want one of them. Not the daughter, me.
Yeah.
bring it in for the daughter, which I did. So much interest in it, we started to build them.
So it started with you wanting it.
Really?
Daddy wants one.
Yeah.
Kiddie gets one.
Yeah.
And that's still the case today.
It is now. That's basically how they're sold, really. Yeah. It's a dad's toy given to a kid.
We're in a field full of proper size hot rods.
We are.
And that's what you build the rest of the time.
Yeah, I do build hot rods as well, yeah. But this is just a hobby.
Because you're looking at, I mean, to have one of these built to this standard, and we've got beautiful interior in here. We've even got little alloy pedals in there.
Yeah, proper painted flame job.
Kit in here. I mean, this is an expensive one.
Well, this would be about £2,500, which isn't that much money when you look at the work involved.
Yeah, because this is finished to a professional standard. But if I came to you and said, Pete, I want to build one for my nipper, and I'm not spending £2,300 on it.
You can start £100, buys you a body.
And that buys a body in the white like you've got
That
here.
buys a body in gel coat.
Just what goes into it, what's underneath? I know the engine's in the back, what is it from?
That is a Honda GX160, which is sold as a stationary engine. You'd find it in a whacker plate, cement mixer,
right,
anything like that. And then you go from then.
And I know it's even got a little tiny onboard disc.
It has, yeah, it runs disc brakes.
It's got more stopping power than my motorcycle.
Yeah, yeah. But as I say, it needn't cost you £2,500. I mean, there's guys here put them together for less than £500.
They're whizzing around the field today. We seem to be seeing quite a lot of them. Are we going to see more of these?
We've started to race them.
Yeah.
There's started to be junior drag racing taken off in this country. It will grow. Whether it grows to the extent of America, where there's over 30,000 children race junior dragsters, is to be seen.
Kids, it's not that good. Don't put too much pressure on your parents. It's not fair. Pete, it's gorgeous. If I could fit in it, I'm still wondering whether it might. It's a fantastic thing. I want to be 5.
We actually do make a bigger one.
Do you?
We do.
I want to be 5. I've got to be 5. It's gorgeous. How do you define street cred? Well, apart from the obvious. Yasmin Mills, our very own style guru, who has benefited personally from my own guidance in all matters stylish, has been giving a sports car a stylish once-over.
The hardest part for a kit car manufacturer is to offer an alternative to mainstream design.
Most specialise in out-and-out performance designs, replicas, or alternatives that big boys can't or won't do themselves.
For years, Quantum have been offering a credible alternative to production hatches. From the saloon to the H4 here, they've been using Ford Fiesta parts, which are always in plentiful supply. The high-quality GRB bodywork has always been a company trademark, and the H4 carries that on. The doors close with a quality click, and the shot lines are tidy. So far, so good. Styling is always subjective, and the H4 is probably the most attractive Quantum yet. The back is undoubtedly neat using Fiesta lights, and the clever covers disguise the donor headlamps. Inside the H4, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. The dash that's borrowed from the Ford Fiesta may not be high-tech, but it is practical. The seats are very tastefully covered to match the panels, and they're also very comfortable to sit in. There's also plenty of room at the back on the little bench for luggage, but the real trick is up here. Having unclipped these hooks, you then just turn this which gives you a sunroof, or you have a targa top with a roof that slips easily into the boot. But my personal favourite is the complete convertible. The great thing about this car is that there are no nasty surprises. It's nippy, it's like driving a little Ford Fiesta hatchback. Everything is where you'd expect it to be in a Fiesta. The dash is very clearly laid out, everything's easy to use, very comfortable clutch, gear stick, and it's actually very enjoyable to drive. You feel like you have all the advantages of a little nippy car about town, except you have the exterior of a very groovy looking little sports car.
The H4 gets the 1.8-litre Z-Tech from the RS 1800i. This in itself makes it GTI quick, but Quantum have added an electronic supercharger. This unit uses electric motor instead of engine power or exhaust gases to bolster mid-range performance from the peaky Z-Tech.
Despite the 1.8 engine performance of this car, it's still economical. It may be a bit floaty when you get it out to high speeds on the motorway, but that's more due to the suspension settings rather than a criticism of the car.
To build the H4 yourself, you're looking at $7,500 to hit the road. To buy it from the factory, you're looking at prices that start at $15,000.
In all, I think this is a great little car, and compared to other little sports cars like MGs, I think you can't beat this car for individuality and style.
We come to an event like this, obviously we expect the cars to be the main attraction and the main feature, and I suppose they are. But this time it is a little bit special because there are two guys here who are in their own right quite an attraction, so much so they're giving a seminar this afternoon and it's expected to be packed out. They are, let me introduce you, Pete Shaporis and Alex Exidius. Gentlemen, thank you for talking to us. And thank you for finding time to come away from your autograph hunters. It's been impossible. In fact, Alex, we even had you signing a car earlier on, which I'm going to ask you about. Let's find out the story here. Pete, I'm going to come to your involvement, which is kind of more recent. Alex, you don't mind me calling you one of the forefathers of the whole hot rod movement, do you?
No, I don't mind, thank you.
Right, how did that come about?
I'm proud of it.
Absolutely.
It all started when I got out of World War II, out of the Air Corps, and started a little shop in Burbank, California, a little speed shop. And there was a great deal of excitement after the war, all these young men with money in their pockets from getting out of the service, and a great desire to go racing with their cars. So I saw that opportunity, and I filled it with parts and acorn head nuts and manifolds and heads and things. And then we started setting records ourselves with our own cars, and SoCal was on the cover of Hot Rod magazine and so forth. And
well, you started a legend. But in those days, hot rods, well, they weren't necessarily good boys, were they?
No. They were just cars that had to have a lot of ingenuity in them because there wasn't a lot of stuff available, not like there is today.
And if you look around today at this event, there's a lot of families here. It's very much a family day out, and it's the same sort of thing in America, though obviously on a bigger scale. Yeah. It wasn't a family thing then, was it? They were bad lads.
Well, yeah, they were street racers and stuff, and the newspapers were putting them down with hot rod all the time. We didn't even like the word hot rod, to tell you the truth. It was kind of a derogatory term in those days. And finally, with the association being formed, the NHRA, SCTA, we got the kids off the street and got them running at drag strips and dry lakes and places where they could be regulated. And then, of course, they all calmed down. They started getting married and having children, and it changed the whole industry.
But what you did was take hold of it and bring that sense of organisation to it. It's moved on. Now we have a very, very different situation.
Oh, absolutely.
So you come in a little later on. I know there's an awful lot goes on in between. Bring us up to date.
I started a business called Pete and Jake's in 1973, and what we basically did in the States is we took it out of a cottage industry and brought it to the forefront. The business was very successful. My partner and I are still really good friends, and I sold the business in 1987. And I took a few years off, and I started another business called the Pizza Porous Group. And then Alex and I became friends, and he still had the SoCal name, and we joined forces about 2.5 years ago, and so far everything is looking really good.
Because SoCal had gone quiet, hadn't it, for quite a long time?
Quite a while, yeah.
What had you been getting up to? Because I know you weren't exactly sitting around.
No, I kind of closed the shop down because I got interested in making films of Indianapolis and Daytona and drag racing and things like that. And then I had a great opportunity to go to work at Peterson Publishing Company, Hot Rod Magazine, Motor Trend, Carcraft, and met a lot of people, traveled a lot. It was a great experience, and I stayed there for 12.5 years, ended up being the associate publisher of Hot Rod. And then Mickey Thompson, an old friend of mine from Bonneville days and everything, got together, and we did a show called the Score Off-Road Equipment Show. That was the days of the Bigfoot, big trucks, and people were making roll bars and lights and all the things for the trucks. So we did that for 10 years, and then Mickey and I sold the show, and I retired until Pete brought me back.
So you could say you've always been a bit of a showman, Alex.
It's the best part about it is I've always been a hot rod involvement somewhere along the way. Cars have always been my life and my hobby, so what could be better than that?
And Americans are fiercely enthusiastic about their motoring heritage, aren't they? Motoring history seems to be quite important.
Yeah, the history of all this, the traditional side of hot rodding is right now is right at the forefront, so it's very exciting.
You come here to an event like this, are you surprised to see not only the cars, but how much people seem to know about American old cars and the enthusiasm that they have over here for them?
I'm impressed by some of the decals I've seen and some of the shirts with cars out of our past and how much they know about our past. And it's very interesting that they've read about it and they've learned from it. No, we're very flattered to see what they're doing here.
But so much for the history. What about the future? What's the future of hot rodding, Pete?
The future of hot rodding has never been stronger as far as I'm concerned. We've got a strong 10 to 15 years left in this as guys my age start to grow older. But basically our customer right now is the 40 to 55-year-old guy. But there's a phenomenon going on. We're getting a lot of young people in, so it could go on forever. I'm hoping it will.
Absolutely. Now, what did we see you signing earlier on? It was the strangest looking car I've ever seen.
Oh, a guy wanted us to sign his dashboard. Both of us.
And, he was talking about your tank over there.
Yeah,
the belly tank.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we signed another car. Forgive me.
So many cars.
So little time.
Right. No, it was a little belly tank car that looked similar to the belly tank car we ran and that Pete restored.
Now, just to explain, belly tank car, that was made out of the tank.
It was a belly tank from a P-38 fighter plane that was popular during the war. And after the war, they had them in surplus stores. And it was the perfect shape for a car. Streamlined, so we built a belly tank out of it and put the engine in the rear, much like this little car that's here today. And it was a kick to see it. It's painted very similar to the SoCal car.
Now, you've done some pretty speedy driving in your time, haven't you?
Well, for its day. Yeah, we went 198 miles an hour with our belly tank.
What year?
1952.
Yeah, so that counts, doesn't it? Right?
Yeah, it counts pretty good.
1952. And your hell racing days in cars aren't over, are they? Isn't there more to come?
Oh, yeah, we're just getting started.
Oh, yeah. We didn't exactly raise hell, but last summer we went on Americruise, Hot Rod and Custom Magazine.
Yeah, we drove cross country in a 32 Roadster, and Alex accompanied me, and couldn't get him out of the car. It was really fun.
Just was magnificent.
Excellent. Well, it's glad to know that in motorsport and motor racing and involvement in motoring generally, even with a little tiny bit of age, Alex, if I'm allowed to say that, you don't have to get any more sensible, do you?
No, not at all.
No, it just keeps the young man in you awfully alive.
Enjoy yourselves, continue doing it, and enjoy your time here. I know you have enjoyed your show.
Already.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Better get back to your fans, haven't you? Really?
Yeah,
go and sign some
we'll
stuff.
We'll go sign another car.
We'll just stand here in the quiet. In part two, more fun in the sun from the Super Nats, and of course our project car. Some of the mainstream volume manufacturers are trying to introduce the idea of the pickup into the UK. If you think of the Mitsubishi L200 and their big chrome-covered beastie. Well, if you're going to do that, I think you could take a leaf out of Andy's book here, because Andy, you put this thing together, or restored it, what, 3 years ago?
3 years ago.
It's a stunner. When I say restored it, that's not to say that 3 years ago you said, right, it's done, because it's carried on ever since, hasn't it?
When I got it, that door wouldn't open. That front wing were back about 4 inches.
Yeah.
All round bottoms at cab had gone. Pick-up bed, that were in a mess. I had to buy a new tailgate, a new front panel.
Well, it was worth every penny and every second, but why a pickup? Why are you a pickup driver and not a car?
I just fancied something different.
Is it the kind of good old boys thing?
Yeah, I mean originally before that I had 2 Beetles. Like, they weren't
Much further from a Beetle.
I know. They were too small for me. Like I just fancied something big, like so I bought a pickup.
Now you've come to this show direct from another show. You've got your caravan behind you and you tow it with this, so it works for a living.
Never goes in a garage. It's outside all the time.
Tough little thing, isn't it? Really? It's got to be, I suppose. The interior, despite it being quite rugged in intent, it is a pickup. The interior is stunning, isn't it?
Yeah.
How much work did you put into that?
We'll have to redo it all. Like put a GM tilt column in. Scroll 6-disc Pioneer CD player.
So are you about there now? Is this done as far as you're concerned?
It's about how I want it now. So
Right.
it's just in case I've got paintwork to sort out again now.
So you're going to be like everybody else. If you spent 3 years building it and most of your money, and
Yeah.
it's now done, time to sell it then, isn't it, really?
I don't know about selling it, change it again or something.
What would you do next?
I don't know.
Bigger pickup?
No.
Van?
I won't mind a delivery rather than a pickup.
You're not going to have a car, are you? You're determined.
No. I've got to sort something out now because we've got younger, don't we? So we've worked out we can get a baby seat in the middle.
Excellent.
At the moment.
Man. You are the 90s man, Andy, after all. We're often asked which car we would recommend as a first-time build. Well, you can't go wrong with a Westfield. Let's face it, if you can't build one of these, you shouldn't be thinking of a self-build car. The components are absolute quality, and the GRP bodywork is so smooth and ripple-free, and well, not unattractive. Topping all that is a build manual which is probably more legible than some manuals from major manufacturers. The side screens, if you want to, are very easy to remove. But let's face it, you don't buy this car for garage decoration. You buy it to drive it. Now, I asked the producer for a hat, and look what he gave me. I'm going to go and drive him over. This is a stock Westfield 1800 Speed Sport. The brutal models might get more press coverage, but with this sort of performance, you'll see off any hot hatch. Insurance will, as with most kits, be a lot less expensive than even the donor car it's based on. Residuals will also be better. There's healthy demand for built Westies, so you should get most of your build cost back. Of course, you won't be watching this bodywork rust away. What you will be watching is down the bonnet where it all happens. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. Still not sure? We can build this car for between £6,000 and £8,000. And when you've built it, Westfield will take you to the factory and give it a good once over. Any mistakes you've made will be corrected for you. Once that's done, you'll get Westfield's full seal of approval. This is definitely our recommended first build car.
Well, we left you last week with our Jester finally looking like a real car. Well, progress has gone on. We're still working on the heater, still trying to get that sorted. We've made a little box to raise the heater up so it won't be on these foam blocks anymore. And as you can see, it's starting to look like a real car. What we've been concentrating on is the heater tubes. We've bonded in the first one, and to start off with that, what we did is lay it down, put some weights on so it didn't move around on the upturned body, and then we sealed off the ends of the tube with tape. Now, duct tape isn't naturally going to be strong enough, but what we then do is laminate onto that, creating a strong box when the GRP dries, and then we laid GRP fiberglass with a resin down the side, dabbling it in with a brush and then following up with rollers. So we put the body on, checked for clearance, found that it was fine. discovered a bit of a snag.
Now don't worry, he hasn't gone completely mad. That is part of the instructions. You see, the Jester originally had a flat windscreen, and it had a flat windscreen frame which mounted on two mounds, if you like, on the corner of the body shell. Well, ours has got a curved windscreen, and therefore you've got to remove these mounds so that the moulding will sit down. The reason why we're trying it now is that we've possibly got a bit of a problem. One of the differences between the flat screen version and the curved screen version of the Jester is that the curved screen version has a single windscreen wiper, whereas the flat screen version has two. Now, if you remember from last week, I had this brilliant idea for fitting a couple of tubes underneath the dashboard. One for the demist on the windscreen, so that you've got a nice tube with through flow of air. And the other one was going to take an air intake from outside the wheel arch here, which was going to mount underneath here. John pointed out that that's roughly where the windscreen wiper motor wants to be, because in the instructions it says to use one of these, an Uno motor, and this will need to sit underneath the bodywork, smack bang in middle of my air intake for my heater. Bit of a snag, but we've got a possible solution. This is a Panda windscreen wiper motor, and as you can see, it works on a remote system. You've got an arm here, so the motor actually sits to one side. Now, I've kind of calculated that if you fit this, and we can find a left-hand drive version, we could fit this, reverse to the position it should be in, so it's on the driver's side, and then this, which sits above our box about here, just below the screen, will clear my air intake, so my idea can still work. So what we're doing now is we're just settling the windscreen in place, removing the mounds as per instructions, and just making sure that this system will work. If not, back to the drawing board with the heater, I suppose.